Evan Cole had not planned to come back to the ship. It floated at the far edge of Dock 9, half forgotten, its hull stained by old burns and patched metal plates that did not match in color. New ships passed it every day, sleek and silent, driven by artificial minds and polished alloys. Evan's ship looked like a relic beside them, a tired animal that had survived too many storms. Most people said it should have been scrapped years ago. But Evan needed parts, and this ship had once been his home. He moved slowly through the docking bay, boots echoing softly. The station lights flickered overhead, casting long shadows across the old cargo vessel. Its name, barely readable now, was still painted on the side. He stopped for a moment and touched the letters with his glove. The ship had carried medicine through blockades, refugees through hostile zones, and once it had carried him out of a war he did not like to remember. He unlocked the airlock manually. The panel did not respond at first, so he hit it gently with his fist. The door opened with a tired hiss, like the ship was sighing at his return. Inside, the air smelled stale but not dead. That surprised him. There should have been no power, no circulation. He stepped in carefully, helmet still on, and sealed the hatch behind him. The corridor lights were dark, but faint emergency strips glowed along the floor. Evan frowned. He had shut everything down years ago. "Must be a short," he muttered. He moved deeper into the ship, passing old storage bays and crew quarters. Dust floated in the air when his boots disturbed the floor. The silence was heavy, broken only by the sound of his breathing. As he reached the central corridor, his wrist scanner beeped softly. Power fluctuation. Evan stopped walking. That made no sense. The ship's reactor had been drained and locked. There was no fuel left, no reason for power to exist. Slowly, he followed the signal, heart beating faster now. He told himself it was probably a malfunction, some leftover charge finally releasing after years. Still, his hand moved closer to the tool at his belt. The signal led him to the rear cargo section. One of the wall panels there looked wrong. It was sealed, but the weld marks were fresh. Fresh. Evan stared at it for a long moment. His thoughts raced. Someone had been here recently. He placed his palm on the metal. It was warm. "Hello?" he called out, his voice echoing through the empty bay. No answer. He stepped back and carefully cut through the welds. The panel fell inward with a dull thud. Inside the narrow compartment, something moved. Evan froze. Two large eyes reflected the dim light, wide with fear. A small figure pressed itself into the corner, thin arms wrapped around its body. The being was not human. She looked young, though Evan had no idea how age worked for her species. Her skin was pale blue, marked with faint lines that glowed softly. Her clothing was torn and clearly not made for survival. When she saw Evan fully, she flinched, raising one hand as if to protect herself. She did not speak. Evan lowered his tool and raised his empty hand instead. "It's okay," he said slowly, keeping his voice calm. "I'm not here to hurt you." The alien girl watched him closely. Her breathing was fast and uneven. She shook her head, clearly not understanding his words, but she understood the tone. She tried to move past him. Her legs failed. She collapsed onto the metal floor. Evan swore quietly and rushed forward, catching her before her head hit the ground. She was lighter than he expected, fragile in his arms. Her body felt too warm. She tried to pull away, weak sounds escaping her throat, but she had no strength left. "It's all right," Evan repeated. "I've got you." He carried her to the medical bay, laying her gently on the table. The equipment there was old but functional. He removed his helmet and scanned her with a basic medical device. The readings were strange, far beyond anything human medicine was trained for, but one thing was clear. She was exhausted, injured, and starving. Evan fetched water and nutrient gel. He placed it near her lips, careful and slow. After a moment of hesitation, she drank. Her grip on his wrist was weak but desperate. When her breathing finally slowed, Evan sat back, watching her. Up close, he could see faint scars along her arms and neck. Near her collarbone, something metallic was embedded under the skin, barely visible. A device. Before he could examine it further, her eyes opened again. This time, she did not look away. She stared at him, studying his face, his scars, the worn fabric of his jacket. Slowly, she spoke. The language was unfamiliar, the sounds soft and flowing. Evan shook his head gently. "I don't understand," he said. She frowned, then touched the device near her collarbone. It pulsed once, and suddenly the sounds shifted. "Human," she said, her voice strange but clear. "You are human." Evan let out a breath he hadn't realized he was holding. "That's right," he said. "I'm human, name S. Evan." She swallowed. "I am called Sail." "Sail," Evan repeated. "You were hiding here?" She nodded. "Your kind is not watched." That stung a little, but he understood. Humans were considered unimportant in most parts of the galaxy. Too stubborn, too unpredictable, not advanced enough to control, not powerful enough to fear. Sail continued, her voice trembling. "They are searching, they will come." "Who?" Evan asked. She hesitated, then looked straight into his eyes. "Everyone." Evan felt a chill run through him. She explained slowly, struggling to find the right words. Her species had once helped design systems that powered entire star networks. They believed in balance, not control. When others twisted their work into weapons, her people tried to stop it. They were erased for it. Sail was the last, not just a survivor, but a key. Her body carried living data, something no machine could copy. With it, advanced fleets could be shut down, their systems rendered useless. "That's why they hunt you," Evan said quietly. She nodded. "That is why I hide. And you chose my ship. Yes, humans are ignored, no one searches your ruins." Evan almost laughed at that, almost. Before he could respond, an alarm beeped softly from his wrist scanner. Long-range sensors were activating on their own. That should not have been possible. He ran to the bridge, Sail following weakly. The screen flickered to life, showing distant energy signatures. "Multiple ships, not human." "They found us," Sail whispered. Evan's jaw tightened. He looked at the old controls, the cracked screens, the manual levers most modern pilots laughed at. He had come here for parts. Instead, he had found a reason. "Strap in," he said. "This ship cannot escape," Sail said softly. "It is too old." Evan smiled, a tired but confident smile. "You'd be surprised," he replied. He powered up the engines manually, rerouting energy through systems he had repaired by hand years ago. The ship groaned, protesting, but it responded. As the first enemy ship moved closer, Evan pushed the throttle forward. The old ship surged to life, breaking free from the dock in a cloud of dust and sparks. Sail watched, eyes wide, as they shot into open space. For the first time in a long while, Evan felt something he thought he had lost: purpose. And far behind them, unseen eyes began to take notice of a species they had ignored for far too long. The old ship shook as it left the safety of the station. Metal groaned, lights flickered, and warning sounds echoed through the bridge. Evan's hands moved quickly over the manual controls, adjusting power, stabilizing the engines, listening to the ship like one listens to an old friend's breathing. Behind them, space lit up. 3 alien ships broke formation and followed. They were smooth, sharp, and bright, built with advanced alloys and guided by artificial minds. Compared to them, Evan's ship looked slow and clumsy. Sail held onto the back of the pilot's chair, her fingers tight. "They will not stop," she said softly. "They never do." Evan kept his eyes forward. "Then we don't let them catch us." The first energy blast missed them by a narrow margin, tearing through empty space. The shockwave rattled the ship, but it held. Evan smiled slightly. "Good. They're aiming for prediction paths." "What does that mean?" Sail asked. "It means," Evan replied, "they expect us to fly like everyone else." He cut the engines suddenly. The ship dropped, drifting without power. The alien ships overshot, their systems confused by the sudden change. Evan restarted the engines at half power and veered hard to the left, sliding through debris left behind from old battles. Sail stared at him. "Your ship should not survive this." "It's not supposed to," Evan said. "That's the trick." They escaped the immediate pursuit, but Evan knew it would not last. These ships could track them across systems. Running forever was not an option. As the ship jumped to a quiet, unmarked region of space, Evan finally slowed down. He leaned back in his chair, breathing deeply. Sweat lined his brow. Sail sat across from him, her posture tense but calmer now. "You should let me go," she said. "They will stop hunting you if I am not here." Evan looked at her for a long moment. "Humans don't do that." "Do what?" "Give someone up just because it's safer." She studied him, confusion mixing with something else. "That belief will cost you." "Maybe," Evan replied. "But it's also why we're still around." He asked her to explain everything. No more fragments, no more half-truths. Sail nodded. Her people were called the Athari, though few remembered the name now. Long ago, they helped build the network that allowed faster travel, instant communication, and automated defense across the galaxy. They believed knowledge should protect life, not control it. But power changes minds. The strongest empires realized the network could be used to shut down entire civilizations. When the Ithari objected, they were labeled dangerous. One by one, their worlds went silent. Sail had been young when it happened. She survived only because elders implanted the living key inside her body, a merging of biology and data that could still command the network. "You are not just a key," Evan said quietly. "You're proof." "Yes," Sail replied, "and proof is always destroyed." Evan stared at the stars outside the viewport. Humanity had been ignored because it was scattered, stubborn, and slow to unite. But humans had something many advanced species lacked. They remembered how to fight when no one came to save them. Evan made a decision. He opened a secure channel and sent a simple signal. No fancy codes, no demands, just coordinates and a message. Human ship under pursuit, non-human refugee aboard, any human vessel receiving, respond if able. Sail watched him. "They will not come, humans are alone." Evan shook his head. "You don't know us very well." Hours passed. Then a response came, then another. Old freighters, patrol ships long removed from official duty, civilian transports, even a few military vessels flying outdated human flags. They didn't ask questions. They didn't need to. Within a day, a small human fleet formed around Evan's ship. The alien hunters returned soon after, confident as ever. They outnumbered the humans. Their technology was superior. Their leaders believed this would be quick. They were wrong. Humans did not fight like machines. They did not rely on perfect data. They adapted. They improvised. They sacrificed engines to shield others. They rerouted power manually when systems failed. They communicated with voices, not just signals. Sail watched in awe as human ships flew too close, too reckless, too unpredictable for enemy targeting systems to lock properly. Evan's ship took damage. So did others, but none of them retreated. Sail finally understood. Humans were not strong because of their ships. They were strong because of each other. When the alien fleet attempted to activate the network weapon, Sail stepped forward. She placed her hand over the device in her chest. "Guide me," she said. Evan linked her to the ship's systems. The moment the connection formed, the air seemed to hum. Across space, systems flickered. Enemy ships lost coordination. Weapons powered down. Shields failed. The hunters panicked. Human pilots moved in, disabling ships without destroying them, forcing surrender after surrender. When the battle ended, silence filled the stars. For the first time in centuries, the network was no longer a weapon. News spread fast. The galaxy learned that a forgotten species had stood up and changed everything. Sail stood beside Evan on the bridge, watching distant stars. "My people believed someone would choose what is right," she said softly. "I did not think it would be humans." Evan shrugged. "We mess up a lot, but when it matters, we show up." Humanity was no longer ignored, and Sail was no longer hiding. Somewhere far away, powerful beings rewrote their calculations. They had underestimated humans. They would not make that mistake again.